Hello everybody, thanks for joining me in this special presentation, and this time we're going to upgrade an E-Type, we're going to improve upon Mona Lisa and create an upgraded E-Type that's reimagined, it's re-envisioned. You can call it after another animal if you want, but really we're trying to draw from the best in the industry. I'm going to show you step by step what I ordered and how I put it on. Let's get into it. I'm going to begin with the bare shell. So this is a car that was delivered to me by a client that came from California. It was really the best of the breed. And when taking on a project like this, I think it's pretty important to start with the best car available. And in the bare metal here, it really shows untainted, undamaged, unrusted metal. The original brazing still apparent, as is the original lead work. So because of this, we kept the integrity of the car. We kept the engine subframes together in one piece. And I think that was a really good way to go. Now I'm going to take a bit of time to talk about the body shop I used, and that's Coachwerks here in Victoria, BC. Coachwerks are the top body and paint facility in my area, and they specialize in Mercedes 300 SL. In fact, over the time, they've restored over 10% of the total 300 SL production. So that's really remarkable. And what I really love about Coachwerks is how they apply Mercedes-Benz level of detail and door gaps and getting it right in the metal to cars like the Jaguar E-Type. Now, before we head to the shop and start putting this thing together, I got to talk a little bit about this video. Yes, it is very long, but we go over some very important steps that aren't really shown in many other videos, including me screwing up a chrome piece. Yes, I'm going to show the chrome trim that goes around the headlights, the most difficult part of any Series 2 restoration. So that's coming up. In the meanwhile, let's head to the shop and see what this thing looks like on the hoist. Welcome to Owen Automotive, everybody. The maroon car has safely landed in the shop. It's up there on the hoist. And boy, oh boy, do I have my work cut out for me assembling the entirety of the car and showcasing all the incredible upgrades that we'll be putting on it. So here's the differential unit. We're going to build the suspension around and the engine as well. So those are going to go together pretty soon. But while it's on the hoist here, and before I stick anything on the car, the body shell, I really just wanted to go around it and showcase how wonderful this chassis looks. Its paint job, it is really quite splendid. Look at the chassis rails in here. It is otherworldly. It's painted like a new car. It's so perfectly painted, it kind of reminds me of the paint work you would get done by the factory by a robot. This base clear metallic. Coachwerks did such a great job. And the reason why they could paint this so well is because it was on a rotisserie, so they had access to this car all the way around. So what we're looking at here is all original metalwork. It's pretty rare to see, you know, an E-Type where you can save the floors and they look like that. This car was really truly spectacular and was an absolutely killer candidate for a restoration. So here are these main rails here going down the side, both sides, and the right and the left. Those are the chassis tubes, and what I will do is I will put cavity protection spray down them, and also the sills. So the sills are they're a big member, an inner sill and an outer sill, and we want to get cavity protection spray in there as well. But yeah, I just love seeing all the original spot welds running down the sill too. If you can have a look down the sill, we can see all the original spot welds. This is all factory. Nothing was changed. Now, what I should say also is the factory did not paint these cars underneath this nice. Instead, these cars were just covered in black undercoat. And so it would be a real shame to put black undercoat on this wonderful, wonderful paint. And I think it's kind of unnecessary too. So here's where the rear suspension sits. That's where the trolley cart was attached to the body shell. So I'll have to touch that area up. But if you look at the inner fender well here, oh my God, it is so clean and wonderful. Same with the belly pan. This is the way it was. You can see the seam there, the occasional spot weld for the strengthening ribs. The whole car was spot welded together, really. It was a spot welded jigsaw. Okay, well that's enough of the underside. Let's get this thing down and we can have a look at the top. Now on the top side here, this is where this car gets really spectacular. At Coachwerks, they wet sanded and polished this paint to an absolute mirror finish, and it has to be seen to be believed. It is really, really wonderful. Now at the same time, before they did all this wonderful paintwork, they fit the doors with the catches and the rubbers. So if we look down the side of the car here, it has that really nice line that I like to see. These cars are fairly slab-sided, right? So if the doors kick out, if the hood kicks out, it's so visible. And this car was set up perfectly before paint, and that's really the key to it. That's what's so expensive, is getting all this metal to look like this before the paint. But look at those reflections. Oh my God, this car is just really, really amazing. Now we have a look here. If I open it up, you can see the rubber's been fitted. Look at that. So I'm not running into the problem where I have perfect lines, I put the rubber in and it doesn't fit. It's been set up before paint, which is really, really a blessing. The trunk here as well, see the rubber's in there, and I don't have the catch in yet, but it's gonna land really nicely in there. And again, on the passenger side here, the lines of this car are to die for. Have a quick look inside. These original floors all painted up. There is a lot of parts to go in there. So the first part to go on any E-type restoration is the washer system. We can see here the original nozzle and the way it was kind of had this big thumb screw that attached it to the top of the scuttle. Get a focus there. And for this car, we're running new ones here for Martin Roby. You can see the part number there. Sometimes I like to run an O-ring underneath these things. These come with a fiber washer, which maybe I might have to put down with some silicone. Now I have saved this one from a previous restoration. It shows me the exact length I need for the tubes. I think I'm gonna go clear on these, but I do have green if I want to. Now, the reason why these nozzles have to go in first is they go deep within the double wall firewall here. They're almost impossible to get to, so it's a good idea to have these things installed and out of the way rather than trying to do it after all the dashboard's installed. There's just no access. In fact, the only access I have to this area is this hole here, the one in the middle, and the one on the right there. It's pretty limited, so it's good to set this up now. All this bodywork though. Look at this. Amazing. So just started assembling the washer nozzles here. And one thing I will note is that the original is a little more, has a different shape to it. I don't know if it's noticeable here. It's a little more bell-shaped compared to the aftermarket one. Now while I'm in here, I put a bit of dum-dum at the end of the threads. Don't want these things leaking down into the firewall. And also got the right length of hose here as well. So let's put them on the car. Let's do it. First part on the car. There it is. All right, the nozzle system is installed. I can sleep easy at night. So you can see the T here is right accessible through the main access hole. And there's actually two tabs, see that, on either side that accept the line and keep it out of the way of the wiper system. Let's have a look under the hood for the first time. Wow, look at that, everybody. Beautifully painted engine subframes. I'm in love. Holy smokes. This thing is just so stunning everywhere I look. It's underneath the hood here, where Jaguar from the factory would have just put basically overspray. It is so wonderful. All the shapes here, going down to the nose too, are undamaged. There's all these air ducts that are built into the hood. Wow. Again, the subframes. What a beautiful basis to start a mechanical rebuild here. This is just so wonderful. Now the chassis tag, at some point it has been replaced. This is a new one. It does look good in there, but it's missing this little J tag right here, which was for California delivery. I'll show you what one of those looks like, and if anybody can make one like that, please let me know, because I need a J tag for this car. There'd be a made in England tag here. We have the chassis tag and then the federal tag there, which means that this car was different than the cars delivered in England to meet federal safety regulations in the US. It had Stromberg carburetors. It had a whole host of different features that are not shared with the European delivery cars. But yeah, wow, what a great looking engine bay. All right, I'm getting hyped up. Here's the first upgraded section we're gonna do to this 69 Series 2. So I've collected these suspension pieces over the last little while the body shop's been busy doing their magic. So what we have here, we have brand new upper control arms. Look at these with the replaceable ball joint, so a nice serviceable unit. And to match those, brand new fulcrum shafts from Martin Roby. I think that's gonna really look the part. And the new bushings, these aren't the cheap ones, these are the upgraded rubber bushings. I'm really liking those. These are the original lower control arms that have been plated in cadmium, the original finish. Just shining back at me. How lovely is that? And then to top it all off, we have this S&G Barrett front suspension fitting kit. Look at this, every nut, bolt, washer, tab washer, everything we need to put it all together. This is like a dream come true. It's the ultimate kit. Let's get it on the car. Got everything together here to assemble the right-hand control arm. This little pivot here is right where the shock absorber sits. And hopefully this assembly will go together. Let's see, let's lube up the threads here. This is the caster adjustment threads. So this pin technically should come through here. We'll throw some lube down in this area here too. And then it should start threading in here. Let's see what we get. Come on. Is it going? Am I going the wrong way? Come on. Maybe it's the other way. No, I think it should be this way. I don't have any action yet. Come on, start. Oh, it's starting now. Something's happening. Oh, it's just jammed. Well, now it's going to go in, is it? There we go. I think we got progress. So there we are. There it is, fully assembled. I just put the bushings on in here with the special washers. Now, the whole idea with this pin and this thread in here is so that this control arm can actually be located fore and aft within the body and control the caster. So when doing alignment, the technician would undo these pinch bolts. There's a flat here, and they can move the control arm backwards and forwards. Now, I'm gonna affix this to the car, and as you'll see when I affix it to the car, there are shims on this front fulcrum, and that's to really control the camber. I have the exact amount of shims plated up that came off the car. We'll put those back on. And yeah, really nice to have this assembly together. Let's put it on the car. Okay, back on the car now. Here are the engine subframes. You can see the way that the front bonnet here really nestles right over the picture frame. It all coalesces so beautifully. And that's what I love about the E-Type. It's such a wonderful type package. So here we go. I got my bolts ready to mount the front fulcrum into the fulcrum block. And I did tap them. So, okay, so I'm pretty comfortable with how this is sitting here. What I want to do next is put in the camber shims. Here they are here. These are the original shims, replated. This is the exact number that was on this side, and because we're using the original engine subrings and because they haven't been off the car, this should get us really close to the alignment we'll need for the camber. So they're going to slide in here underneath this fulcrum. Then we can put in the two bottom bolts and tighten everything up. Okay, I got the camber shims in the front here, and I have these other shims that go in the rear fulcrum here. These don't really adjust the camber. If I move this in and out, it's not going to push the wheel forward and aft. Really what these are doing is really just making sure that this bushing is nice and straight, and I'm not stressing it out. Stressing out the pin, the shaft. Now, one thing I will mention is that the slotted nut here is loose. That'll only be tightened after the car is pretty much completed. It's sitting down on its wheels. Then when it's sitting at its proper ride height, we'll lock this control arm in place with this slotted nut, compressing this rubber bushing. This is so important because it contributes to the springing force, and it does affect the ride height. So if you were to tighten this up when this is down here or way up here, or before the car is fully loaded, the nose just won't sit right. That's a really important thing. The front control arm bushings have to be tightened down after the weight's on the car and it's sitting on the ground. Time to assemble the lower wishbone control arm. So the main member here is cast, and this surface here, this cutout surface to accept the torsion bar, this goes to the front, so that's how you can side them. Then we got this large shaft that's going to go in here, and then we're going to bridge it here with this lower wishbone connecting rod. And there's this really long bolt. This is what'll take the shock absorber. That's why there's a hole through here for the slotted nut that'll go in from the front. Come on. There we go. Awesome, nearly done. So then a special washer here to the rear. Don't want to forget that one, because the whole thing has to come apart if that's forgotten. The fulcrum with the bushing, special washer, slotted nut. This is ready to go on the car. Now, if this was a full restoration, I'd be putting the bushing on the front here as well, right here. But it's already on the car because we kept it all together, so this is going to be a bit of a fight. Let's see how it goes on. Okay, let's put it on the car. I forgot I needed to take out that main bolt for the damper. Should just let you slide in here. There we are. Now what I can do is put the big thick washer on, and then slot it on the front here and draw it inward so this fulcrum can go into its resting position. Great. Okay, while I've been busy doing the suspension, Dad's been building up the engine. And yes, we are doing a high performance build here, a RBR Racing 4.7. So this is a long stroke engine with a custom crankshaft that's sitting here on the bench. Look at this beauty. I think it has more counterweights than a standard one. Is that right, Dad? It's been balanced. You can see it was made by Aero here, specifically for RBR. And he's developed this whole package. It comes with pistons and liners, this beautiful crankshaft, a flywheel, a positive seal, rear main seal. It's a thing of beauty. You see it's hollowed out here for lightness. And yeah, this is really gonna set this build apart. And it all just kind of goes in the standard block without many modifications, which is nice and convenient. So it'll be really exciting to show this engine going together. I don't know, it should produce north of 300 horsepower, that's for sure, eh? And we are ready to drop the crank in.
You like to machine this off though, eh?
Oh yeah, so there was a slight modification. This is the front main cap. It needed a little bit machining off, so Dad took that off in the mill right there just to clear one of these counterweights. But wow, what a thing of beauty. A brand new long stroke crankshaft. What do you think, everybody? It's in. Awesome. Wonderful, look at that. Let's see, we're on our way. That looks awesome. Wow, look at this, everybody. all the reciprocating components for the 4.7 liter engine, fully upgraded and lightweight guys from RBR Racing. So here's the piston he has developed. The black coating we can see here is anti-friction, and these are considerably lighter than stock. Same with his Sportsman rods here, lighter, upgraded. What a fantastic package this is going to be. So with that, he provides ARP style rod bolts and the high flow oil pump with the pickup tube. So quite a nice package. What a jewel of an engine this is going to be. So now with both the control arms on the car, can really build up the front hub here. And I do like replacing the stub axles. This is a very important part of the car that really takes the brunt of the braking forces. And so we want to make sure that these stub axles are correctly seated into the hubs. And to do that, we're going to check the taper. This is a taper fit into the hub on both sides. And the method I'm going to use today is using this bluing. This is kind of cheating. I'm going to be able to spray it on here. Hold my breath. Okay, just hit it with the heat gun. So now the method here is to really force it into that taper and rotate it around and see what the contact patch looks like and make sure that the angle's the same. Ooh, that's a good noise. Okay, what do we got? Look at that, it cleared it off evenly all the way around. I know now that this taper and this hub are good, so I'm gonna keep those together. I'll do the same with the other side, and I will also check the tapers from the lower ball joint here. This is the upgraded ball joint, just like we did upgraded ball joints in the upper control arm. These ones go on the bottom. And I'll check this taper with the lower control arm and the upper one as well, and this taper, and just make sure that all three tapers on each side match, because I have found in the past that some of my tapers have been mismatched, and that's a really dangerous situation. Lastly, I'll just mention the seal surface here. I micro polished it. It was a bit of a pain, but I think it's worth it to have surfaces like this where the neoprene seal runs nice and clean and without any pits or deviations. Nice smooth surface for that seal. Okay, so I'm going to assemble these fully and then we'll put them on the car. So I cleaned up the bluing off this stub axle here. I cleaned up the hub. I brake cleaned them. Definitely don't want to put anything on tapered surfaces, just metal on metal. So we can set that in there. One thing I forgot to mention, that this is cadmium plated, and that's important because this is a metal sandwich. We don't want thick coats of paint, and certainly not powder coat paint in between our metal sandwiches for the suspension. That's a big no-no. That's a safety concern. So the steering link here, it's going to go on. It's going to become part of the metal sandwich here. And then part of this nut and bolt kit is the big lock washer here on the end. There we are. Okay, I got the left-hand side here on the car. Doesn't it look so splendid? Wow. So what can I say here? Now I have seated the bottom ball joint, but I can't seat the top one because I like to leave this loose while I put the torsion bars in. It's a bit of an assembly order that makes these things way easier to install. So now I'm gonna pivot this thing all the way around and we're gonna seat this stub axle. I know the taper's good, so I'm just gonna give it a light tap here on the end. Plastic mallet, just a plastic mallet, don't worry guys. And I'm gonna hopefully, oh, I need a bigger, it's bigger than 7/8. What do we got there? I think it's kind of the 15/16. Okay, so this, I'm gonna just get it rudimentarily, is that how you say that word? Just try to seat it here. Hopefully it'll spin on me. This bolt up here for the steering link is just temporary as well because there's a splash shield that's gonna have to go on there later. Okay, let's go to 100 foot-pounds and seal the deal here. Ah, my left hand. I gotta use my right hand for this. There it is. So next up, I want to put the spline hubs on the car, but really that means we have to reveal the braking system because the rotors are going on. But before we look at this incredible Fosway braking system, I just want to talk about these spline hubs. They are so wonderful. The plating is beautiful. I put the bearing races down in there on both sides, and the seal, what a wonderful interference fit. Like, I can't praise these front hubs enough. I am going to buy more. So it's the Orson Equipment hubs. And that's the part number there, KO26, and I think that one's KO27. Wonderful pieces of equipment. But next, yes, so we are putting a Fosway brake system on this E-Type. I think this is pretty much one of the ultimate brake systems you can fit to an E-Type. I have one of the front calipers here in black anodized aluminum. Look at this 6-pot caliper. It is a thing of beauty. It's nice and lightweight. It'll have these huge pads, and I'm pretty sure the most incredible pedal feel. Wonderful, wonderful stuff from Fosway. I have to dig a little deeper in here because we gotta get the rotors. There's a whole package in here of parts. They got the brake lines. We got everything from them, so it'll be very nice to fit this to the car. Right now I am just really digging for the rotors. So bear with me, let's find the rotors. Holy smokes, look at this. Wow. What is this? Look at the size of that. Oh my God. Wow, look at that. So we got a vented and slotted rotor. What a beautiful piece. Yeah, this whole system's gonna look so fantastic on the car. These are the calipers here. And just see it coming together. What a thing of beauty. Awesome. Wow, these Stover lock nuts, they're kind of ovalized, and when they're put on a new bolt, they take a lot of torque to install. And really positive way to fasten these rotors and hubs together. The only way I can do it without killing my arms is with the impact gun. It's on there. Okay, let's double check the torque on all these nuts. All right, let's do a marriage. Put a little bit of grease on this stub axle. So they're the two wheel bearings here inside this hub, and they kind of press on the stub axle. And to get it in enough to push it in on this thread with a nut and washer, you kind of need to hammer it on a bit. So just gonna center it here. Now, this is kind of an awkward job. Just tap it on. That bearing race is not going to come off that. Holy moly. Okay, I got it into the point now. Maybe I can pivot this towards the camera a bit. You can see in there. See that race? Now we can put this, tap this outer wheel bearing on there. Maybe just with a socket. Going with some light taps here. And it's in. So we have these fun washers. I call them a little de-washer here. And then that slotted nut. And the idea is you tighten down until you lock the wheel bearings and back it off to the nearest flat, and it'll give you your clearance. Okay, so it's nice and free here now. If I tighten down the hub nut, oh, there we go. There it is. So now I'm going to tighten, and they're going to lock those bearings. Actually, that's pretty good. But if I was to tighten right down, it'd lock it right up. So I'd look at the position of the slotted nut and back it off a whole flat there. And that would be the wheel bearing set. All right, getting that cylinder block ready. It's been machined to fit these custom pistons. See the crosshatch in there, ready to receive the new rings. And of course the block's been decked, looking so lovely. I'll just pull back here, and as my dad was assembling these custom JE pistons from RBR, he noticed some pretty cool details. One of them is the rings. The compression rings are really slim, a lot slimmer than the normal ones. So that'll mean there'll be less friction as the piston moves up and down. And second were the lock rings for the wrist pins here. They're these rings that go into a recess within the piston, and then the wrist pin actually has a chamfer on it so that if it moves fore and aft, it actually locks the pin in. So very cool detail, very nice pistons. Thank you so much, RBR. These are wonderful. Things are coming along nicely for this spectacular 4.7. Got the high flow oil pump on here from RBR and a special pickup tube. Now I think this is a good idea because the E-Type, this engine tends to go down in oil pressure, especially when the engine's hot after a long run. I think this should mitigate that. So it's something that I'm probably going to put on all my engines forthcoming. There you go. You see the RBR part number there. Looking good. I'm going to let you join me now to assemble the rear suspension, and at the center of it is this differential that's been completely rebuilt. So it has new bearings, new seals, 307 crown and pinion. But what we're going to do is put on the most impressive rear brake system I've ever seen on an E-Type, and that's the Fosway vented rotor system. So the giveaway here are these caliper carriers fore and aft. Therefore, this really impressive system, I can't wait to show everybody going together. Now, I've already had it assembled somewhat to get the right spacing in here for the caliper carrier so it's centered on the rotor. Done the lock wire as per the factory original. Now, where this system really gets wild is in the rear. It has this handbrake system that doesn't have enough clearance to fit with the huge rotors. So the handbrake's relocated to the back here. And I can't wait to show that either. So we have set up the rear calipers here and sealed the deal with a Dennis Wells Racing differential cover, cast aluminum. This is going to be lovely. Let's do it. So the first up is this spacer. Can't forget that. And the next is this rotor. Have a look at this, everybody. A vented rear rotor for an E-Type. What a thing of beauty. I think it's been balanced too, and it is just so wonderful. Let's put it on. No, it goes on like this. There it is. Now I'm just going to temporarily affix this till the drive shaft goes on so we can assemble the whole braking system with it in place. Making really good progress here with this Fosway system. Finally got it ready to put the cradle around it. Now, it was a bit of a fight, I'm not gonna lie. I had these caliper carriers on the wrong side, and I'll show you why, because the right one has an L on it and the left one has an R on it, and that really screwed me up. But finally got it back together, sorted it all out, and it really does look magnificent. I'm going to send them my installation notes because there's a couple things I noted that I had to change for this installation, but really it is a thing of joy. I love the way this handbrake system is relocated on the rear, and we got a new compensator to put on, so that'll be exciting. So that's ready to go. My dad's been hammering out this 4.7. See the oil pan here? It's been vapor blasted. It looks just so lovely. And now the crank and the pistons and the rods and the oil pump, they're all in. Look at that. Wonderful. And finally, the seal here on the end. So this is a really nice way to go. It has a different flange on this custom crankshaft. So a regular neoprene seal can go all the way around. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, so we're going to say goodbye to this bottom end pretty soon. Putting the pan on. Just waiting on timing chains. So my dad's been working on the cylinder head. Now my friends at Alpine Cords did an amazing job here, just skimming the top of the head for the MLS gasket. Gotta just ground the seats there, multi-angle grind. Sorry, it's a cut, not a grind. And Dad's just fitting in the intakes there. I think if we go around this way, no we can't. We put in some really tricky seals. I'll show you a picture of that. These intake stem seals that kind of cup around the stem. They're really neat piece of kit that I got from RBR. Yeah, really nice. Okay, let's get back to that rear suspension.
Some turtle wax.
Just gonna kick it in like this. Make sure we got it the right way around, eh? So it'll kind of butt up against these fulcrums, and then we gotta pull it around the rear brakes. There we go. Sweet deal. It kind of hides it all. Okay, we are all set here. The Fosway system is completely installed. I finalized the deal with this handbrake compensator and tied in all the lines and tried to make a neat job of it. Just go behind here. We can see the cable management. There's two clips here that kind of hold the remote bleeders out of the way. Some really nicely made bleeder standoffs here. I might tie these in a little bit, I'm not sure. It'd be nice to actually have two of these clips just to really secure that in there, but it's good enough for now. And we have to turn this thing around again so I can put the tie plate, the bottom plate on. We have an upgraded one for RBR, so we'll see what that looks like. That much. Oh yeah. So we're gonna do lift it, I guess. Hold on. Let's get these out. Okay. Further than that. Okay, here's the tie plate I want to fit. This one's from RBR. It's kind of a racing application. That's why it has a tow hook here in the back. But I really do like this because it's anodized aluminum. It's stronger than these thin sheet steel units. This is what the standard one looks like. And so what that's going to do is it's going to give a little more strength in here for the suspension. Really the way this works is if you look at it, the differential is kind of a stressed member for this cradle. And so if I can just provide a little more strength and rigidity in there, I think that's good. Now I did already have this on once to shim these fulcrums so I can get my pins through. So I'm going to put it in loose, we'll tap in the shims and we'll tighten it all down. What an assembly! But I still have a long way to go here. Look at the table, look at all these parts that still need to go on. And they have to be done right. I don't want to do this job twice. So I'll try to make this quick. There's a lot to talk about here. First off, Coney shock absorbers. For an upgraded car, this is my shock absorber of choice. I fit them in full soft. For a regular restoration, I just go with the Girlings. Lower control arms, these are in black oxide. That's how they came from the factory. My electroplater agrees with me. This is how they came from the factory. And the reason why they did black oxide treatment is because this is a shim surface. It's really tight in here to try to go in the cage, so don't want any thickness there. So if it's painted or worse, powder coated, these things have to be mitigated. You can't have any paint in here, can't have paint here, can't have paint here, can't have paint here. You get the idea. It's just so much easier to do it the way they did originally. And this was a California car, and that's how we could tell they were black oxide. Same with these tubes. And I should have probably done these long pins, but there they are. You can see clear as day, these were black oxide, and a lot of the hardware on E-Types was black oxide. Now we're moving along. Got the original springs painted up. I like that because it keeps the ride height the same. We got painted up radius arms with the metalastic bushes. I don't use anything except the original Jaguar made in England metalastic bushes. Same with the small ones. You can see that they're metalastic. This is really important because there's some cheap bushings out there and they just fail. Like within months, out of the bag, exposed to oxygen, they start cracking and you got to get in there again. So metalastic bushings is a must. Got the drive shafts here. I'm gonna put in the made in Japan U-joints, and I have the full kit for my hardware all plated up. I'm trying to organize this. I probably will do a better job of this in the future, just to get my part numbers right. But it's all this special fussy hardware that you can't get from the regular hardware store if it would pull a focus. Yeah, see, that one is a small head. So really important to have the right hardware. Really important to assemble this stuff correctly. It'll gonna take me a while. I have to set up all these bushings into these lower control arms to get these pins through. So I'll do that, then we'll have a look. Okay, got the control arm here. I want to do the inner fulcrum shaft. It's going to have to be tapped through. But first, I got to set up this kind of unusual array of bearings and seals. I'll show you what I mean. I have already put in the needle bearings. They're very small, but they do the job. You know, 100,000 miles. This race here, you'll see the bearing, the needle roller imprint on it, but it seems to survive. Some people like to put bronze bushings in here, going the extra distance. That's fine. That's overdoing it, but that's just the way it goes. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put in this spacer shaft, a spacing collar it's called. Just gonna lube it up here. Everything's gonna get a bit of grease on it. And the original grease nipple is on there. So we first put in this retaining collar. There we go. Make sure there's not excess play. That's nice and tight on there. So we got inner thrust washers first. There's a lot to this actually. So I'm just gonna grease it all up. Just kind of use the grease as glue here. So you got the inner thrust. Then we have the sealing ring. So these are rubber neoprene rings. This is the seals, believe it or not. Then a steel, these are steel retaining rings. So I'm just gonna glob some more grease around there. So we got the retaining ring. And we're not done yet. So next, I'm going to put a dummy shaft in here so we can tap this through. You'll see that process in a minute when we install this. That's going to stick out a bit, and it's going to let me put the outer thrust washers. These are very thick, and they have a chamfer on them here so they can slide into place. So the whole control arm can slide into place. Again, just greasing everything up. Want to keep free and easy movement on these. Okay, let's put one of these lower arms in. I left the bolts out of the cage, so I had some room to expand. Oh! Okay. Just ease it in there. Don't fall apart. Holy moly. Okay, we're in. Okay, I'm just gonna line up this hole here for the cage. Oh, nearly lost it. Hopefully that'll help line it up. Yeah, too many pushing the pin through. It's coming. It's good. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to slide the extension tube in here. It's a very tight fit, so it's nice to have these things plated up rather than painted. There it is. Woohoo! Awesome. Thanks for the help. Okay, I got the tie plate secured. What I need is free movement of the control arms, the wishbones. Look at that. Great. Okay, the last step, everything's tightened down. I got my big lock nuts on the fulcrum shaft. I'm actually gonna grease it. I'm gonna use a grease gun here and fill up that roller bearing area. Make sure my grease nipple works okay. Nice tip on here. And then we're done. It's going in good. Just filling it up till it kind of cracks out of the seal. Bang!
Springs around underneath that beautiful good paint job.
Yeah, oh yeah. Have a look at that. The completed rear end assembly. It is so wonderful. The way it's done, so compact, with the differential as a stressed member. And it's so nice to see it here, completely refinished, replated, and rebuilt. So a trick is to have the front mounts on while it goes into the car, while the rear mounts are already fixed into the car. See the Coney shocks there, the new grease cap. Every little part of this rear end has had so much love, attention, and detailed work. So here's the hardware that affixes these mounts to the car. You can see the spacers there. These are in gold CAD. We'll just scroll around to the rear here. What a lovely thing. And on this version here, we see the tie plate sticking out, has a toe area here. That's a raw beer racing feature. Remote bleeders for the Fosway braking system. I'm in love. Let's get it in the car. Look at that. So the rear suspension is fully installed, and we did kind of an unusual method, and that's kind of putting it up in there on the work table. And that was a lot harder than using the floor jack underneath this tie plate. With the floor jack, it can kind of rock back and forth, and those bushings can find their home. But I did not want to put a floor jack on this anodized aluminum tie plate. It's so wonderful. And I just love seeing it go in there without any scratches. So there's even a Harley Bailey handling anti-roll bar that I installed here. It's a little thicker than normal. And to really seal the deal, I just finished off with some lock wire here on the large radius bush. So yeah, happy to have this milestone over with. We can move on. Got this absolutely wonderful 5-speed here on the bench. A wonderful unit from Jaguar Land Rover Classic. I am in love with this casting. So unlike the 5-speeds that were typically fitted to Jaguars, this one fits in the trans tunnel. It requires no modification. It will not get in the way of the exhaust. And that's why I chose to go this route with this car. Just love the machining in here. You can see that Timken bearing, and we just stuck the clutch plate on there. Just wanted to see how the splines were, and they were perfect. Now this unit was made in conjunction with Crosthwaite and Gardner. I think that's how you pronounce it. They produce so many absolutely beautiful and tremendous parts for Jaguars and Alfa Romeos, mostly aluminum pieces. And you can see here the certificate of conformity. I know this is a good unit. I love seeing documentation like that, because I know we're going to install this and it's going to work. But yeah, what a wonderful piece from Jaguar Land Rover Classic. I should note also that this is number 54. They're all serial numbered. And if I just squeeze around here, we can see the tack drive. So it uses the original style tack drive. The unit, it does look decidedly different from the 4-speed. I'll show you what a typical 4-speed looks like. But now we come back to this one here. And it is a little larger, especially on the tail housing here, but it does have that Jaguar shape. It does look more like the Jaguar 4-speed synchro box than any other 5-speed conversion, and that's why we're going with this one. Okay, bell housing, mounting to gear case, looking like they were meant to be, made about 50 years apart, and this new design here does away with the seal inside the bell housing, which is quite nice. Makes it a lot easier to work with here. There's not this sandwich here for an oil seal, so that's quite nice as well. One thing we did notice just is that it uses the early rear mount. So gonna have to find a new plate to mount this at the rear. The later cars use the spring. So now here we are at the right-hand front rotor, and I want to install the caliper. It's really the last thing we have to assemble before we put fluid in the system. So I've put on the carrier, and I've actually pre-assembled this so it's shimmed the right way in and out so that the caliper is going to be centered on the rotor. And I put it in with some nice lock wire here. So here we go, time to put on these beautiful anodized aluminum calipers. Wonderful things. Okay, caliper's permanently fixed on there now. I'm just gonna rotate it around and show everybody the brake pads. They're these wonderful carbon metallic pads from EBC. These are standard fitment for Aston Martin Virage. And if I spaced it all out correctly, these should just slide right in. Look at that. Wow, look at that. I really do think that these brakes look so much better installed on the car. I love the anodized black finish and the anodized black on the hub carrier here and the vented rotor next to that brand new hub from Orson Equipment. What a great combo. And just at the back here, a little bit of a trick. The instructions called for deleting the splash shields altogether, but I just cut them in half and used the leading splash shield, because really the whole half, the rear half, the trailing half of the rotor is completely covered by caliper. But yeah, really happy with this install, and braking system's nearly done. In fact, it's completely done, just have to bleed it. Well, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. This Series 2 assembly. Got the bare aluminum shining back at me. All the shroud and brackets painted by the body shop. It looks so wonderful. Got the new fans on there. And the upgraded motors. These ones actually came on the car as I was taking it apart. And there's no reason to replace good working parts. So they went right back on. The regular units are more of a square-bodied Lucas type that always fails, so it's good to have those on there. During the assembly, I will note that these riv nuts weren't slightly in the right place, so elongating these holes was kind of necessary on the shroud to get it all assembled. So the whole thing will drop down into the car onto the radiator bracket, built into the engine subframe on these bushes, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to hold those up. But I am really loving the overall fit and finish of this assembly. It's so lovely, and it's so much more capable than the Series 1 unit, which just had a single fan and a shroud which covered the whole radiator. Okay. From here. There we are, it's in. So with the radiator assembly in the car, I want to do one last thing, and that's put together the heater box and get it all in there before the engine's in, and then I can verify that everything fits properly under the hood. So what do we got here? This is a steel case that's been refinished at Coachwerks. It has the most glorious black paint on it, so I really want to preserve that. And to complement the high-end refinish, we got the full Clayton heater upgrade system, which I'm a huge fan of. So we have a modern style copper core, upgraded fan motor from Clayton there, and a metal impeller fan blade, whatever you want to call it. These are usually plastic, so I imagine that has a lot more CFM, and a SPAL resistor for 2 speeds, a modern system, so that's nice. Now to go along with the box and the Clayton kit, we have just the standard fitment items. Got the foam here. This foam's really important because it goes from the duct to the top of the heater box here. You've got to make sure that that seal is secure. Bulkhead foam regular. Foam kit, I'm not sure how much of this we need to use, but definitely use some of it. And then just some of the original hardware here. Now this is the original tag off the top of the heater box. And through heat cycles and rivets, the corners always fall off, but I saved them. And what we'll do is we will glue them in place after these 2 bottom rivets are on. So just a little bit of authenticity and originality mixed with modern and performance upgrades. Yeah, that's a lot for a heater. It's going to be the best one I've ever made. Let's get it together. Okay, I've been reinventing the wheel here somewhat, but I really wanted to seal this thing in, and this is the best I could come up with, was kind of covering it, and then I'm gonna slide this in afterward. So really, This is just where the air will go, and everything else is kind of blocked and sealed up by the foam. Let's see how this goes. So inside here, I've installed this flap, the fresh air flap, with a bit of foam. And there's also some foam along here and down in there. Just using the most of that kit without taking too much time. And yeah, let's put this in for the final time. It's been in and out a few times. So it'll have to compress the foam slightly. Try not to let it fall off. This is a cringy step, that's for sure, because it just barely has enough tolerance to fit. Holy moly, this is delicate work. Okay, what's going on here? It's just fouling the top. But we're going in. We're sending it. Oh, I don't want to do this twice. Whew, jeez. It's packed in there all right. Now I got to get the spouts through the housing. So I'm trying to get through the holes, the spouts out there. Come on through. There we go. Okay, that looks really good. So here we are back here now. And my idea here is to slide this in here. So let's just secure that down with some glue and slide it in before it dries. Here we go. Oh yeah, it's gonna work. You slide it down in there. Okay, I got that panel fixed and just gonna give it a shake. Make sure that heater core doesn't rattle in there. It's nicely planted in with the foam. And then also this flap on the end. Want to make sure we have free movement so it can open and close. Great. Gonna take a break from the heater box because we are going to install the engine into the car. My dad's ready. He's been busy assembling it. So we're just going to drop the car essentially down onto the engine. It's sitting down there on that wooden stand. And then pick it up just for the last little bit to install the engine brackets. I'll show you those on the bench there in black oxide. Now back to the engine bay here. I've put protection film on the firewall right here. And that's because these engines, when they go in the body, they like to be as close as possible to the firewall to get clearance. It gets pretty tight down here with the reaction plate bracket. See that hole sticking out there? Now, I'm just gonna go down here and we can have a look. Dad's just fitting the mounts there, but he's also fitted the transmission to the block, that beautiful JLR transmission, all of the clutch slave cylinder set up there with the spring. That's the short type clutch slave cylinder. Don't like the hydrostatic one. Got the original starter on there. So much easier to put all these things onto the engine block before it goes into the car. Same with the oil filter adapter. So we're gonna drop this thing down, get it in. Also, one thing I'll mention too is that we put on these cam covers here just in case they touch and scratch. We'll put on the ones with nice finish on after the thing's fully installed. Good. It's good. Yeah. Just to give an idea of the clearance we're looking for, if we go down in here, we can see down there the torsion bar bracket and where it is in relation to the engine. See that? And so it's really nice to be really forward of that torsion bar bracket and just get the clearance. And it looks like it might just barely touch that clutch line. That's pretty normal. Okay, we're getting pretty high now. We're gonna put the engine mounts on pretty soon. Okay, you can see here, got the mount kind of loose in here. And we can just then put these 5/16 bolts through and locate them rather than trying to find this thread. So Little E-type hack there.
Yeah, I'll text it. I'll send it to you. I'll email it to you, Jackie.
Better. Shortbread. So with the heater and the engine now installed, we can finish off the front suspension and the torsion bar system in front of me. So the E-Type has a pretty ingenious torsion bar suspension that really transfers the load down into the center of the vehicle where the main frames are. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And in between the two frames are this reaction plate. It's really just adds a lot of strength to the whole system. Now this is what a normal one looks like. So you can see these torsion bar brackets. They go at the end of the torsion bar and they fit into the reaction plate. It locks the torsion bars in place and it's a fixed system normally. Now what we have here is a raw beer upgraded adjustable system so that these brackets now float. They're not locked in up here on a cam. And this is a really superior design to the other offerings out there, which just have a pin, which takes way too much stress. These brackets are under tremendous strength, and that's why this cam is necessary. It's a really great system. Let's get it on the car. Okay, I got everything installed here, and it's so weird seeing this bracket pivoting like this. Normally it's fixed in these holes up here, but yeah, pretty cool. Adjustable ride height. Got the suspension all dialed in now. We pounded in the torsion bars and adjusted the ride height accurately. And now the telescopic shock absorbers and sway bar can all be hooked up. And it is looking much more like a car now. We got our wheels and tires on just temporarily. If I sneak back here, I can show you what we're running. So it's a 6-inch offset out with a Michelin XWX tire, 205. Pretty nice setup. Just a little bit more tire, the same that we would see fitted to a late Series 2 or V12. But with the suspension all done, now we can move on to the exhaust, and we have a really, really exciting product here from Classic Fabs in Scotland. Jimmy Stewart and the gang, and they specialize in this wonderful polished stainless steel exhaust for E-types. The real highlight is these 3-to-1 long manifolds. Have a look at these. So Jimmy has a special setup in Scotland, a mock-up motor and frame so that he can make these so they just have enough clearance, because there's not a lot of room in here. And I also want to fit at the same time in this space, if we can, this Fosway servo heat shield. So I don't know if all that will coalesce. We're going to give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so we'll try the rear one first. Head over and install all that. But look how well this is made. Even the rear bracket, everything about this is just so spectacular. It's really wonderful to have such great suppliers for E-type parts in the world. Look at this one piece. This is the Series 2, so it does splay out around the license plate. Has updated hangers here too. I could keep going on about this exhaust. It's so amazing. So this is kind of a modern style hanger unit that'll go onto the body studs. You can see here, it gets pretty tight. There's the torsion bar down there, and that's what we need to clear and have room for the heat shield, and that's the brackets that we have here. There we go. We're going to try to insert this from the bottom. It's pretty tight here to the torsion bars. Look at that. Is it going to go up there? Wow. Look at that. Just barely sneaking in there. Wow. Oh, will it reach his studs? Amazing. Amazing. Wow, look at that. These exhaust manifolds are really a work of art. The way they nestle around the engine subframes and the torsion bars is a real testament to the skills involved in engineering and creating these stainless steel exhaust manifolds, headers, sorry. Pretty impressive stuff. Now, we had a bit of a sizing issue actually with the rear end of the exhaust system, But that'll give me some time here to set up the brake bottle reservoir system. And I have the parts here on the bench. So we are gonna go upgrade it on this too. So we have the AJS Autocraft stainless steel reservoir holders. We have the classic Fabs mounting brackets. We have the new S&G Barrett reservoirs themselves. We have a copper nickel feed pipe and the Fosway Performance servo heat shield. So what I'm gonna do is get this all in there, mock it up and see if it'll all work. I think it will. Okay, so gonna put in this Fosway heat shield. It's so nice being double walled, and it has these slots here for these brackets to receive them. It just makes installing this heat shield so much easier than the standard one with the nuts and the bolts. I'm not fussing with those. Look at that, it's in there. Finishing up the exhaust manifold area here, and I just wanted to make sure that everything here can coalesce, and I think it's gonna work. Spent some time with the dipstick and the carrier, something that's often overlooked on the cheaper manifold setups. Also got the standard reservoir shield here. It worked with the phosphate clamp, so I'm really happy about that. And finally, I have the reservoir assembly here. I like to assemble this on the bench. This is the AJS Autocraft stainless steel bracketing. And I like the feed pipes for the master cylinders to be installed on the bench. It just makes the job so much easier. All right, reservoirs are in and I'm happy. Everything's working together. Got the bottles here, all those feed pipes for the master cylinders. And then if I just sneak by here, we can see the wonderful, wonderful exhaust and how it nestles in with that servo heat shield. Yeah, really happy with the way that this is coming together. One thing I should mention too is this stuff here is low-tech protective film called Weather Barrier. And it's a way to preserve gloss finishes like this heater box, which always gets it. So it's nice to protect that just during assembly. Yeah, Dad finished installing the classic Fabs exhaust. It looks so nice under here. All that wonderful big bore stainless steel. Look at that. Definitely the best exhaust money can buy for an E-Type. Love the mix of old and new. For instance, the modern style hangers with the original style muffler system. Big interpipes hanging a little lower than normal. And we really lucked out. If you look at this tie plate, the tow hook area there, got pretty close to the exhaust, but we have clearance. And the two big resonators out the back. Splaying out because this is a Series 2. But what a wonderful, wonderful thing. Yeah, I just love it. Making really good progress in the engine bay here, really to prepare for the triple SU carburetors going in. And yes, we are upgrading to triple SU. This originally had two Stromberg carburetors with that awful intake system. So that'll be one of the very best upgrades that we'll put on this car. And just in preparation, got a lot of the radiator system in. Unfortunately, I wanted to get a lot of the cooling hoses in, but that's the wrong water pump. That's a Series 1 water pump. So gonna have to change that out, which isn't a really big deal. Another upgrade here, the Spin-On oil filter. That's really nice to see. But retaining some original stuff. Yes, I prefer to use the original starter motor, the original wiper motor. These are great electronic motors. No need to mess with things that work good. Here they come. A discrepancy? Oh yeah, there you go. Nice. Look at that, carbs are on, and I've been busy waiting for that water pump. I refinished the cam covers, so really celebrating the Series 2 cam covers here, and the metallic base clear paint. It just looks so amazing, this engine bay. So these carburetors came to us in kit form, and I had my friend Reese Kent, Island Automotion. He assembled them all and was really drooling over how well all these arms and levers and springs were made. New fuel rail. It's so nice to have access to all this kind of part support when working on cars like this. Even got the tags there. Really beautiful set of carbs. So now, yes, let's take the water pump out and we'll compare the Series 1 to the Series 2 so you don't make the same mistake that I did. So here's the water pump off our engine. Dad took it off. It's a beautifully made cast aluminum version of the cast iron water pump. It's so much lighter. Looks so much better on the timing cover. And here's the replacement item. Luckily we can get the same aluminum water pump made in Series 2 form. Now the difference is very slight. It's that hole there on the top for the return on the different cooling system. So yeah, really nice to see these available, these aluminum water pumps. Dad's gonna put the right one on the car now. Awesome. Going in, just barely fits in there with the pulley on loose. The whole E-Type is assembled with such tight clearances. It's amazing that they have enough clearance. Sometimes some things go on and it's unbelievable how little room is available.
If you try and take this off, it just...
Oh, you can't take that off. Look at that, it has to go in at the same time. And the last part of our 4.7 liter engine upgrade is this 123 electronic distributor. It has Bluetooth, so it can set a whole bunch of stuff from the phone. That should be interesting. This will be the one and single embedded system in the car, so I'm happy about that. And also, it really replaces a distributor with a vacuum retard, more set up for the Stromberg. So I think this is a nice, elegant way to go for the ignition. With any difficult job, one thing I really like to do is lay everything all out on the table, get all the parts assembled and some of the tools, and really just prepare for the task at hand and get mentally prepared for the challenge ahead. So we'll get into all these parts in a little bit, but before that, I just have to talk about the bonnet of the E-Type. So here we have an opalescent maroon 69, and these E-Types have wiring in the hood, in the nose, the very front nose of the structure. There's a bonnet socket. I'll show you what the other side of that looks like. And then there's this terminal post that accepts all the wiring for the blinkers and the headlights, and this all needs to be working and 100% fitted before the headlights go in. One thing I always see that's missing on restorations, so these two little P-clips down here that hold this wiring that will stop it if somebody tugs on this wiring when they're dealing with some of the lighting, stops the bullets from coming out of the block. So that has to all be tested and verified, because once this task is done, there's no getting back in here. Nice to see it all wired up too and not just laying on the bottom. Back on the bench here, these are the original components refinished. I had the privilege of restoring a really nice car here. And the first one that's gonna go back on is this sugar scoop, the headlight scoop. Now this is a Series 2 scoop, which is obvious because it has this leading edge flange with 1/8 inch holes that accept pop rivets. So that's gonna go on, I'll show you what that looks like. But at the same time, I have to respect these little finishing cups that will go in the pop rivets, and they have to stand proud. So there's some really thin little 20 thou. I use M3 washers, 2 of each, and we'll see what that's for as we put it together. So now I have to respect that I have to have my headlight wiring out. Can't leave my light in there. There's no way of getting back in there. Put the light on right here. Maybe it'll give us a little more light. And now I hope that everybody has fitted these things before paint, because you can see it's a really tight interference, and I can't forget the drain pipe either. So there's an interference drain pipe that goes in the bottom. Make sure it's nice and snug and secure. I don't know, is that 10 inches long? And then we're gonna bring our headlight wiring through the scoop. And we're gonna gently put this on the car. See you later, wiring. Okay, just going to be careful here. Go easy on it. Now I have put a lot of protective film around, and I don't really want to pinch any of it in the sandwich, so I'm just peeling some of it back. This is good insurance against scratching the paint. And look at that, it's into position, so now we can start rivets. So before I rivet that headlight scoop in place, I just want to talk about what I'm doing here. I'm doing a sandwich with the rivet. Here's the one with the long shank. And I'm putting this cup on here. Now these cups are the original cups. In fact, I stole these out of the interior for the interior trim. And we can measure the thickness here. We see we've got about 313 thou, 310 thou. That's what I normally see on these, and that'll ensure a successful installation. Now this cup is going to go on the rivet, and then it needs to stand off the bodywork a bit to make room for some rubber, which we'll see installed later. And I like 2 of these M3 washers. That puts it about 40 thou above the bodywork and will just let me work around the rubber. So that's the sandwich that's going on. There we are, first one's in. Okay, headlight scoop is fully installed. Got the 7 rivets and cups on there. And you can see the 2 little M3 metric washers in there, just standing off that cup. And I like that space. It makes the trim on the top and the bottom go on way easier. So we have 3 for the inside one and 4 for the outside. So with that scoop in, just gonna give it a quick blow. Make sure there's nothing on that paint, because I want to apply some paint protective film that'll keep all the fine line scratches at bay, and then we can peel it back just like a new TV when it's all done. Okay, I know all this plastic looks horrible on camera, but when you finish the job, you peel it back, you still got that perfect paint. It is so rewarding. So I have to trim the rubber next. You can see the profile of it here. The thick end goes to the outside. It helps hide the flange. Now what I need to do is I want to basically punch out some holes where these rivets poke through right in the center of the rubber. So there's the first one. I'll go punch that out. We'll put it on the car. Okay, I got my hole punch here right near that hole. Just having a look. Make sure I'm in the center. There we are. Okay, we're getting to the bend. I'll show you what I mean. This is a pretty important step. So if I get my rubber around the 4 lower rivets, and now I'm at this tricky bend. And if I just kind of put it on normally and try to punch a hole right there, we'll have all this extra material. It'll look baggy forever. It'll never look right. So the secret to that is kind of tensioning it right over here, creating a hole, and then pulling this down so you're stretching the lower half. See, like that? And it's not going to wrinkle so hard. So that's the secret there. Make sure that stays in there. And yeah, I'm probably going to put a punch hole right there. Not much left on the table, but boy oh boy, these are the most important pieces for fit and finishing. The first thing I'm going to do is slide in this crown. So this goes in the top of the headlight. And it kind of fixes all the other chrome in place. So I have to put this in to take some measurements. And that's what I'll do next. This has been triple plate chromed. And during the process, I kind of lost the end of one of these tangs, if it'll pull a focus. And that's kind of unfortunate because that can really help hold this down onto the bonnet. So a bit of a challenge there. Like this one here, just about 1.5 inches. And I would like the length on here too, but I don't got it. So in the future, if I'm refinishing a crown, I definitely braze in some new fixing clips. There's the part number there for Martin Roby. And that'll put on the chrome beading as well. So let's slide this in. Ooh. Okay, so now with the crown in place, I can get the right distance for this beading, which is oversized, probably Series 1 fit. And I'm gonna have to make it's kind of a thing where I measure twice and cut once. I'm gonna try right there, put a piece of tape on it. Beading's cut to length. It's a U section that uses these clips we saw earlier. Now I've affixed all of them to the car in between the fender and the shroud, right near where there's a washer. The factory put a thick washer about every, I don't know, 6 inches. So there's a clip. I have them about 1/2 inch proud, and you'll see the idea here is that I'm just gonna slide the beading over these, put a little bit of oil in there, and it'll make it all happen a little easier as well. Okay, I've slid this chrome on all the clips, and I'm gonna remove my protective film because I don't want to sandwich it in between the chrome beading and the fender and the shroud. And then I'm gonna get underneath it, I'm gonna pull and push those tabs over and really sink this beading down permanently. So just make sure we are where we need to be. Wow, it's so beautiful and fresh. Just send it down evenly. There we are. I have to put one of the end here. Yeah, it's gonna finish quite nicely. Okay, beading is fully landed. Happy with that install. And the next job here is to really mark the positions of the retainers for the 2 trim pieces. So I got the front one screwed on here, marked. I marked where the crown ends. So I can take those off now, and with any kind of luck, we'll pop those trim pieces right on there. All right, gotta take a deep breath here. So just having a look at this channel, and can I see any marks where it was originally held on? Not really. So it's gonna need to reach up to there and go down around to this corner. Wow. Okay. So, what a fuss. This is what makes it tough. I think I'm just gonna be able to hit it right there. Let's see. Oh yeah! One's on. No problemo there. 2. What is going on, people? And then just gotta get this last one in, which is really gonna move it around. This is where it becomes difficult. Now it's unclipped. Oh yes, what a joy. It's fighting the rubber a bit. And then, oh, come on. What a job. There it is. Woo! So the bottom is fighting us a bit. What we've done is just put some rubber lube around all these cups and ground away a bit of the chrome to hopefully get it around. We have a crush of about 40, 50 thou that it needs to go over, and after being re-chromed, it is pretty hard, but we're gonna keep going. Yeah, the bottom one has been fighting us a bit, so we got it on these 2 buttons right here. Gonna fix the crown and let the crown hold it up here while we finish the bottom 2 and the last little finisher that goes here. So let's get the crown on. Be careful, I don't have any PPF here. There it is, back to where it was. And now what I want to do is start these locating screws. Okay. So got that crown fully installed, just pushed it down and pulled over those tabs. Sorry you missed that. But now comes the hard part. This final piece of trim still has to catch up with this body work. I'm not quite sure if this is even possible. It does look like it bends outward right here. Luckily it's tucked into the crown so it can't completely pop out. What would be a real nuisance is if this goes in and it pops out this middle one and makes it ugly. It looks like it might be the wrong shape. I don't even know if this is possible. Let's see how this goes. Go on. Go on, you. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's around that button. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3 out of 4. I think what I'm going to do... Oh, I know what's going on here. It popped. But it's popped that one just slightly. I think what I'm going to do is just put in this final chrome finisher and then just try to bop it in a bit. So now we got to tuck the rubber in the right spot. It's like the rubber and the chrome and the button, it all has to be in the right spot. It's pretty unbelievable, really. It's really unbelievable. Okay, so see if this finisher will now go in. Okay, we're sending the finisher down. Now I got to line to get my rubber in the right spot, right here. Okay, get that rubber in the right spot there. There we are. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close. I can feel it. Oh, it's nearly there. It's just proud of all the rivets around the... Okay, I can't get it to seat around these buttons, but I can get it pretty close. And then I think if I just strike it right, and it's kind of in the middle right there, I should be able to clip it on. So here we go. We got the big mallet here. We're definitely serious about this connecting. There it is. That one's in. Oh my God. Okay, this one's looking really close. Oh man. Oh my God. Let me just visualize this. Oh, I think I dented it slightly. Oh my God. All right, so yeah, I've messed up this chrome. It's very subtle, but there is a dent right here. From certain angles, you can see it. It's so subtle. This is almost deliverable like this, but I can't live with it. I can't go to sleep knowing that this ripple is in this piece of trim. So unfortunately, I think I'm gonna get some new ones. Hopefully they're available and in stock, but yeah, gonna have to move on. Okay, a bit of real talk now. I have these 3 issues that are kind of wearing me down. This chrome right here, the window regulators, and the electronic distributor. And I just want to share how I cope when things go wrong. And the best method I have is to really move on to something else, either another car or another aspect of this car or another part of life where I can experience that little bit of success and come back at these issues with a better headspace. And I've done that now, so I really have ordered up some new chrome for the headlights around here. We've refinished the original regulators, and we're gonna credit the client for the new ones. So we'll put that back in. I think that'll be a pretty easy fix. And then we're just gonna keep cracking on that distributor. I'm sure it's gonna work. We'll figure it out. And another thing I'd like to share is that these setbacks, they happen to the best of us, whether you're doing it yourself, you're hiring a pro or a semi-pro, things go wrong. And when you approach a project knowing that there's gonna be things and issues that come up, it's so much easier. Okay, let's find something else to do on this car. So the only thing I can do with a couple setbacks is really just move forward, and that's what I've done. I've installed the rear bumper here with this ugly film, but it'll protect it in the long term from somebody like a ring touching it like that, which is really nice. And why I'm back here is I want to talk about this rear taillight housing. This is really rare, and this lens, I've never seen one before, so I think this is pretty interesting. This is a European style housing and lens, and the Europeans typically got orange underneath, and in North America, not long after this car was made, they split it vertically for the orange and red separation. So this is the original lens from this car. I've never seen one before, so I just polished it up so I can put it right back on. If we go in for a tight look here, you can see the markings on it. There's a date there, 1967. So very early Series 2 lens. Just polished it up, This is all the original. There you can go. You can see the dual reflectors and the way it's split here for this housing, which is typically we only see these on the European cars. Now, one thing I did was I mimicked the original gasket. It splits right here and here so water can drain out. I have the original positive drive screws on here. Let's get it installed. And it's parts like this that I really do enjoy, keeping the authenticity of the original parts while at the same time having fun and putting some modern upgrades in it. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this build when it comes to little detail stuff like this. Yes, I've been busy assembling this original interior, so it really warrants a full tour. And I'm gonna start with the door here. This driver's side door was truly amazing. It still has its original door skin, which is exceedingly rare. You can see the factory wrapped the skin around the flange very tight, which is nice because that helps with the door seal and helping the door close. So you can see the original catch mechanism, cadmium plated here as per original. And go into a super level of detail. You can even see the number 4 countersunk screw holding in the window track. So yeah, definitely going high end with this build. Inside the door, you can see tar paper. This is the 3M tar paper. There was tar paper in there originally. So we've got new window regulator. You can see the spring there, new winder, and re-chromed the original handle. And got the new hinge in here. So yeah, really beautifully rebuilt new door. Even new chrome here on the pillar, wrapped in plastic. So moving inside, we can see the seats here. These have been redone by my friend Geoff Chrysler. Rightway heritage trimming. The correct perforated leather. It looks so wonderful. Now as we move to the dash, this is all original dashboard pieces. All this plastic dashboard is original, which I like. I cleaned the gauges up. You can see the clock is missing, but got the new choke knob in there. And I think I might do the same here for these heater control mechanisms. I painted these knobs up, but they're just not good enough. So hopefully I can get new knobs there. And I do have to clean down there. So a little bit of detail work. I'll take this panel down. We'll have a look at what that looks like. So here we are behind the dash at the heart of the electrical system. There's a lot of wiring in here, and this is as close as I could get it to factory spec. So these are the original fuse blocks, cadmium plated with new fuses, and I think this is the way the factory did it. See all these blue wires for ignition power. Now if I scroll back here, we can see the back side of the rocker switches. A lot of those are original. I just cleaned them up inside. I like to reuse them and just put the new outer covers on. And this big hole right here is for the transistorized clock, which is on its way. Now I have a whole bunch of cool upgrade parts for this interior on the bench. Let's have a look at those. Okay, here we go. I have a lot of great packages here for some really beautiful touches that I think are gonna make this engine bay stand out more than almost any other. So one of the first things I have is the shift knob provided by JLR. They make a kind of a series, a 4.2, shift knob. It's very nice quality. And I have the original lock nut replayed to go on that, so that'll look good in the car. But really excited to open this box. It's a classic infotainment system from Jaguar Land Rover. And let's see what it looks like. Oh, look at that in there. Wow. So it has this kind of classic look to it. It is a thing of beauty. It has all the modern features, Bluetooth, GPS, and it's a modern radio with a classic look. It's, wow, look at that. Okay, then I got some seat belts here. We got tan seat belts to match the seats in the car. I think these will look really smart. And even had some of the original seat belt hardware chrome plated, so that'll look good in there. Next, we have the steering wheel. I think this is from Modolita. I ordered it an awful long time ago, and this was done Oh, look at that. Beautiful Moto Lita here with a slight dish in it. Custom wanted rivets on there. Yeah, that's gonna look great. Wow, look at the wood on that. Wow, beautiful. Beautiful. Holy smokes, look at the, oh man. I'm blown away by the quality of the woodwork here. Wow. Okay, so the last item to upgrade the interior is the one I'm most excited about, and it's this is a little bit of a hint. It's number 134 of only 154 in the world. It's a limited edition horn push that Jaguar had made a number of years ago, done by a jewelry maker. Oh my God, it has a wooden box. Okay. This is the first time I've put a part on a car that came out of a box that looked like this. Look at that. Oh man, hey Dad, you gotta come check this out. Okay, so this is a real unboxing. Look at the box for this part. It's, oh wow. What is this going on here? So let's push the button. And look at that, there it is. Okay, I had to look up what was going on with this horn push, and on the website I found out that this is a limited edition, of course one of 150 Thomas Fattorini produced horn pushes. Now these, Thomas Fattorini is a jeweler to the Queen, so this is a very special piece. It has a lot more dimensionality to it, a lot more depth than the original horn push. And this is kind of displayed here as a dealership kind of display piece you might put on a shelf. But for this car, we're putting it on the car. You better believe it. I think it's going to look absolutely amazing inside the center of this steering wheel. Making really good progress with this JLR radio. I got it in the console and I think it looks really brilliant here with the original upholstery. It mounted pretty simply with the mounting plate there, the bracket. In the back here, I know it looks like there's lots going on, but it is relatively simple. All those loose wires are just the 4 speakers. What I had to do was make up this plug with 4 wires, ignition power, constant power, ground, and lights. And this can reach all the way to the fuse block, so that'll be really handy when the thing needs to be taken in and out of the car. So the final part of the equation is the speakers, and this is only possible with these really clever adapter brackets made by AJS Autocraft in England. And what they do is they take any 5 1/4 inch speaker, mount it to these plates, and then it can be adapted into the speaker console. And because this is slightly offset, it shoves the speaker in and out of the way. So let's get this installed. This is pretty handy. There's a sheet here. It shows me the top where it goes, and that'll let me clock the speaker how I want. So I can put the speaker in. Oh, I gotta put it in the other way and put the wiring at the back. So we'll get that on. Okay, a bit of a jump cut. I got this fully fastened down. These machine screws actually have to face the opposite direction to provide clearance to fit in the console. So next, I want to fit the speaker surround in, the grill, fascia, whatever you want to call it, and just inspect it here. Which side do I want to have up? It doesn't really make too much difference. I think this will be up. And then we'll be able to put the adapter into the grill surround. The brilliance of this design is it actually uses one of the holes for the speaker and the adapter. So that'll push tight like that, and there we are. Look at that. Here we have the speaker ready to mount in the car using the original hardware, which I just love. Time to test out this radio. Gonna turn it on. I'll just show everybody my setup here. So I've wired in the plug, really only just the 4 wires, and it's so easy because the fuse blocks, they're right there. So give it a bit of length so it can be serviced. And I also have an aerial hooked up here so we can listen to the radio. I think I'm gonna run a hidden antenna in this. And the observant viewers will notice I got the front windshield in. I had Jason come over here from Jetstream and help me install this. If you want to see a windshield going in, look at my last workshop diary. We show us slapping these things in there. Now this is the final step, getting the pillar chrome in here with this suction clamp, which really squishes the urethane sealer and tucks that pillar chrome in. That's a secret right there, those suction cup clamps. Okay, let's see what this radio looks like. All right, let's turn it on. So will it work without ignition power? I'm curious. I think it should. Is that it? Oh, look at that, it's on. The traffic situation. Oh, we're in. It works. Sweet. So 90.5 is, oh, we're muted. Okay, look at that. Got the horn push here all apart. Of course, because this is Series 2, it doesn't actually actuate the horn. Instead, they just jammed this foam in there, which is fine. That's so it doesn't rattle. Now we get an opportunity to really compare the old versus the new. And now that I can see them side by side, I see what they were going for. They were going for a higher contrast, higher detail version than the original. And I think this side by side really shows that off. The white is popping more, has more dimensionality to it. Yeah, really, really nice piece. So they are slightly different in construction. The Fatteroni piece is a little thicker on the back here, so I'm gonna have to pare down this foam, work it down, then we'll put it together. So we'll put this in there. That's gonna go in there, and then put the retaining ring down in. I figured this is the easiest way to do this. Okay, it does fit really nicely in this housing. But now I have, so I'm gonna hold the retaining ring in evenly all the way around. And my dad's gonna pull the tabs over. So you see the tab right here, I just need to pull that, and there's the screwdriver right there.
So like that?
Yeah. And there it is. What a beauty. I love how it fits in there with the retaining ring. Awesome. Spectacular, really. Looking pretty complete, and I think this interior is ready to go for road testing. So you saw me put on the steering wheel and the horn push. Yes, the Moto wheel didn't work with the horn push, so I had to go with the standard 15-inch unit, customer's choice. And I'm really happy with the way this dashboard is turned out with all these original pieces. These Series 2s are a little harder to restore than the Series 1 units because of the toggle switches and all this plastic. But I'm really happy with the way this turned out. There's the radio and the 5-speed shift knob. And yes, I put the new control knobs on there. I wasn't happy with the way the originals were looking. Okay, we're back on the headlight chrome. It's something I've been procrastinating a little bit while I focused on the interior and the glass and all that. But we are equipped with 2 new pieces here. They weren't that expensive. And I hope that this is the solution to my problem. Now these pieces of chrome here are very flexible and twist, but they cannot bend. So, oh, I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. What do you think, everybody? Let's give them a go. Whoa, it's trying to go on. I think I might have to put new rivets on there, because this one just, it's the opposite problem. It just seems to fall off of the rivets. Oh man, this job. Rather be working on engines. It just doesn't grab. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, so we can see it's very delicate and it just seems to be mushing my chrome. See that? It's not actually going over it. No, it's with very little pressure. Okay, second attempt. Dad's ground out the trim a little bit. We'll see how this goes. So I'm kind of going to slide it into this. And then make sure you have enough to reach down to there. Maybe down, I don't know, or depend. We can always, once it's on, let's move the camera here, everybody. Once it's on, we can always, it has freedom to slide. It's just getting over the button in an even way, bumping it on in an even way. I think it's the right, there, that sounds good. Let me just keep holding it there. Oh. We're off of this one quite a lot.
That's him off already?
But
Let's see, once it snapped over this thing, maybe it'll be good. Maybe I should hog this one a bit more. Maybe. I don't know, is it stuck on there now?
no, it's fallen off in this one. But you want to put it, try to punch it down in an even way. This is not even.
I think my grinding is not lined up with the slot.
Well, we can move it up or
Needs to
down
go
here.
up or-
Well, then come this way. There you go. And now try. So now it's just this one. Now, see, this one's on a weird, funny angle. Now we can, if you want to, we can put the chrome finisher in to hold that.
Let's try that.
But this last one here is not going to be easy because don't be careful because it's not even. Don't watch the camera there.
I didn't touch it.
You're just blocking it. Okay, so let's see. So it'll barely. This will help hold this bottom one in. Oh, we're not. We've got to come down a bit. See?
Maybe we can slide it down, but
Yeah. There we are. So that's going to hold the bottom one. So now this last button here, if we just go boom, we're hitting it off an angle. So we need to somehow, and then hit it. You know what I mean? To get it right over centrally over the button. That's where it needs to be. And oh my lordy. What a job. So what we can do here is maybe click it in and then try to slide it a bit. Do you know what I mean?
maybe.
That's the only other thing I can think of because it's not gonna.
Like glue it with some urethane.
Let's just try to slide it again, I guess. There you go. There, that should be it. Oh, there you go. Is that it?
Can you tighten this up so it doesn't
Yeah.
slip out?
Yeah. Oh, I think we got it. Holy moly. That was a neat technique to slide it down. That's one I learned from John Cooper. Thanks, John. Back on track. So if it wasn't clear in that last video, it had trouble securing around this last button. It kept popping out. So the fix was to really just pop it in and slide it down. Now that lets me continue with the assembly. I'm so happy to be done with that. And what I'm going to fit are these replica PLs. These are the made in India ones. They are left-hand drive, so they have the correct dip. They look very bright. You can see they're secured here with some silicone glue. kind of a greeny color on the back, fitted with H4s. They're gonna do the job. So let's put them on. Plug it in. And got the original retainer here all chromed up. Wonderful. Okay, let's see if they turn on. Oh, I have headlights. Good dip. Oh, yes. Perfect. So the last step to this equation is the trim rim. It's another one of these things that clips into place. So I'm gonna put these are the originals. They've been re-chromed by Randy at Electroshine. You can see the seam here. Beautiful things. Let's see if I can get it on. There it is. Woohoo! Keep the starter up, brake. Yeah, we've been cranking for oil pressure for about a minute. Give the starter in a bit of a break, and now we're gonna go for the second round. Let's see what happens. There it goes. Oh, look at that! Wow! It's alive! Wow! Okay, I think we got everything ready for the first big warm-up. Even got the new clock in there for Mike Eck. Thank you, Mike. So it's now transistorized and works off of a battery. Oh, look at that, the radio turned on. Cool. I think you push the other button. You hold down this one to turn it off. Oh no, this one. There we are. That was cool, it turned on. Cool. Awesome. Cool. This exhaust is changing color right before my eyes. At idle, we got a lot of oil pressure, about 60. Man, so the oil pressure is a little high. It's running nice now. Good job. Look at that. Just waiting for the fans to turn on now. timing. Oh, yeah! Woohoo! There you go. That puts a smile on my face. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. That's good. I'm happy. Okay, all warmed up. I think the exhaust is even darker colored now. Fans have stopped. Coolant back down to normal. Really happy with that. Oil pressure is just about 55. RPM gauge works. I think we need to go get some fuel. All right, I'm happy. This is awesome. Okay. Wow, so deep. Awesome, first drive. What fell off? Just the shift boot. So Dad's found that the shift boot kind of pulls it out of first and third. So I'm gonna have to do a slight mod there, but other than that, that was one of the best first drives ever, eh?
Yeah, that car really looks good. That engine is just like, really notice the difference.
We are nearly done this car. Pretty incredible. I'm so happy. We've driven it a few times now, and it's so great on the road. It sounds awesome. So hopefully get some more footage. But in the meanwhile, this is going to Coachwerks for a final polish. Can you believe it? Yes, we're going to get this thing even shinier. Pretty unbelievable. And also after it goes to Coachwerks, it's going to go to my friend Geoff Chrysler at Rightway Heritage Trimming. So I've been doing a lot of preparation for that, setting up this hood soft top frame and ensuring that the door glass has a nice even gap all the way around. That was adjusted here by all this hardware, which is impossible to get to with the soft top installed. Also, I'll note that I'll set up the header rail over there after Geoff gets it upholstered, because the clamps there with the locating pins sit right on the material. What else can I say? Okay, going to the back here, my friend Jeff Ward, master cabinet maker, made me new boot boards. They're better than new. Got the original hardware in there with the washers. Really happy about that. Thanks, Jeff. They fit so beautifully. Nice stain as well. And then finally, I took the plastic off of this chrome, and it is just like a mirror. It's so wonderful. Okay, so let's take this thing to Coachwerks and see what's happening there. Looks good, doesn't it? Okay, we made it to Coachwerks here. See what's going on. Yeah, just at Coachwerks here, you can see an upcoming project of mine. Wow, look at that. All new frames on there and sills, new door skins. Wow. Yeah, Mike, who runs this wonderful operation, my dad are having a look at this custom XK120. The seats in there, wow. Why not? We can have a look at that Miura too. Wow, look at this. So it's so crazy to see the front nose with the skin missing. Wow. And this second car I have here at Coachwerks The 67. It's had all new floors put in. Look at that. Weld through primer, I love to see that. Got wonderful shapes around here. Look at that XK drop head. Oh, the whole car moves actually. Wow. Oh. Wow, that's so incredible. This engine has so much grunt. Wow. I think I just want to touch on one more thing, and that is really the dividing line between a concourse car and a hot rod that's been fully upgraded. I think I tried to really respect the design of the car by keeping the original style cooling system and Lucas electrical system, which works just fine. And then keeping the concourse originality with the nuts and the bolts and the washers, the original ones all cadmium plated. It's this wonderful mix of hot rod and concourse that I don't think you see very often in the Jaguar world. Even down to the receiver here for the bonnet, you can see even the original rubber in behind this pin receiver. And then all the chrome fit, beautiful fitting as original, fastened with the right hardware. I'll show you what I mean on the back side. See the number 4 countersunk screws holding on this chrome that was set up before paint. That's what makes this possible. And then all the latch mechanism and original hardware plated here. It is so very wonderful. All right, it's hard to believe this car is nearly done, but I just want to take a bit of time and appreciate the upholstery installed by my friend Geoff Chrysler. He has a company called Rightway Heritage Trimming that specializes in just vintage British cars. And he put on this splendid tan canvas top. Now, I'm not the hugest fan of tan canvas because it's so susceptible to staining. One oily fingerprint or one bird crap and it needs replacement. So I'm not the hugest fan of this. It's like wearing a light pair of pants, but it does look so showy when I pull back here and look at the tan top compared to the maroon. It is a match made in heaven. And also Geoff has expertly set up this piece of chrome trim that runs all the way around. It nestles to the body correctly with the beading down below. It is so professionally done. I just love it. So yeah, let's drop this thing down and have a look at the rest of the upholstery. Okay, just before we drop this thing down, I want to talk about the soft top frame. I'll show you how we set it up before it was upholstered. And that's really important to make sure it fits before the canvas goes on. But yeah, just looking at the result here, you can see the frame. I painted it in a high-end 2-part polyurethane before it went on the car. And then we have all of the stainless steel trim hardware. Don't know if it comes through on the camera there. You can see re-chromed the hard top bracket. And it just looks so superb and professional when it's all redone at this level. Yeah, having a look inside here, and I'm really enjoying the color combo. This beige interior with the maroon carpet and the maroon paint scheme. It is super successful. I really do love it. Then coming in closer, you can see more of the details. So the classic Jaguar infotainment system, that's very nice. Got the 5-speed shift knob. Got the control toggle switches here, all with the new faces. So they all look new and fresh. Got a leather covered dash top, brand new 15-inch wheels, and that new horn push by Fatrioni in the UK. Just as a whole, it's such a superb presentation. I'm in love with this car. Okay, everybody, the last thing we're gonna do is cut this new old stock dealership blank. I think it'll be a great finishing touch. My friend Carrie's arrived. He's brought his machine, his cutting machine, key cutting machine, I guess it's called. And he's printed off the code. So yes, if you have the code, you can start and get in this car. So there you go. But what it shows Carrie here is the depth and the spacing of the key. You can see how it works here. I'm gonna just move on to the other side. So you gotta hold it in a specific way, right? So it's the right depth, or and there we go, all done. So you can see the new fancy one, the old dealership key. The original one that came with the car, you can see it's slightly worn, not as crisp on the peaks anymore, and also a spare. So I think that's a nice touch to really finish off this car. All right, so just before the car leaves here, I want to go over the paperwork. I think this is pretty important. I saved every piece of paper that talked about all the upgrades and all the components that went in the car. It's about an inch thick of just documentation. And then if somebody needs to service this car or get involved with any of these systems, they have stuff like wiring diagrams and RBR racing instructions, even down to the 20 e-brake master cylinder, just all the documentation that shows what goes with this car. I think this is so important. You know, you buy a car without any of this documentation and you gotta wonder what's in it and where the work's been done. But here's the proof. All of this is in this maroon E-Type. Pretty incredible. So that's it, this car is done, the maroon 4.7 liter Jaguar. And lucky for me, tomorrow is a special event called Jaguars on the Island. So I plan to display this car, kind of launch it to the general public for the first time in its completed form, alongside my own car and the Preservation E-Type. Should be really exciting. So yeah, let's go to Jaguars on the Island. All right, early morning the next day in the junk E-Type, and I am waiting for my client to pull out of his apartment here. We're going to the show. Wow. That's a great shot. Here it comes. Yeah, sounds good. Woo! All right, here we are at the show, Jaguars on the Island, and I've brought together the three most important E-Types of my life, really celebrating the unrestored and the restored. So we have the Preservation E-Type here, which I think is the oldest surviving original E-Type in the world, at least from what I've seen. This car is exceedingly original. When I go close, you can see the original rubber here, the original paint's all tatty. Yeah, it's remarkable. And inside here, it's just as original. Nothing's touched. This is all factory. Factory rugs in here even. Look at that factory rug in there. So yeah, it's pretty neat to show off this car alongside the maroon car we just finished. Dad brought it to the show and it looks so wonderful here in the sun. Have a look at this, everybody. Look at that. I am in love with this color in the sun. Just give you an idea, I can take a sweep here down the side of the car. Look at that. Yeah, really enjoying those 6-inch offset out wheels with the Michelin XWX tires, 205s. And the final touch, which I haven't shown anybody, is the 4.7 liter badge on the back. Pretty sweet. Yeah, looking really nice here in the sun. This is the best E-Type I've ever built, so it's going to be hard to see it leave tomorrow. But a nice way to celebrate and show it off to the general public. Show the work we can do here in Victoria, BC. There's my own car, junk E-Type. I actually looked back at the records. I've done 12,000 miles on that old motor that we kind of crudely put back together. And last thing, I guess I'll just show this quick display I put together for everybody. So this is an unused tool roll that I found in a collection. And the reason I could tell it was unused, it still had the cellophane for the tire gauge, and none of the tools have any marks on them. And also showing some of the processes we do here. So the powder coating with the wrinkle finish and the right silver. Have a hub remover tool, Churchill, very rare. Refinish that in black oxide. And for a while there, I was really into these horns. I did a video on the HF horn, just showing the high-end restoration that's possible. And that's it. That does it for this video. I really do love the way this maroon paint looks in the sun. Wouldn't you agree with me? And so, yeah, my list of thank yous is very long. Of course, the owner, thank you for trusting me with such an important car in your life. And thank you to my dad for passing down the knowledge and putting together such a remarkable 4.7 liter engine. As to all the people I work with directly and indirectly, I will include a build sheet for this car in the description of the video below. So if you want to build your own 4.7 liter hot roddy type in the same vein I have here, you have all the details available. All right, that's a long one. Thanks for hanging in with me, everybody. As always, if you have any tips, tricks, or comments, I love to hear from you in the comments section below. And that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.